Hey guys, we've had 4 full days now of the new patch and can take a look at how it changed the game, who was made a lot weaker or a lot stronger, and who maybe you kind of want to avoid playing for now. By the way, we are not looking at the 26th, which is today. We haven't had a full day yet, obviously, so the stats aren't really that good to use. We're going to look at the 4 full ones. We're going to get right into the major changes to start with, and Zoe's the big one. She got a 7 individual nerfs this patch, which I would say is pretty brutal. Her Q base damage was made much lower. They halved the AP ratio as well, and they also cut the wave clear from that at the same time. Her W doesn't drop TP anymore, her E doesn't refund the cooldown, and Drowsy can be removed so you don't fall asleep at all. But hey, at least they did give her some more base AD and also buffed her passive AP ratio by 0.75. I am probably curious though whether you think this was too harsh or whether you hate playing against Zoe, so you actually think it was a good thing, but let me know down below. She is now at her lowest play rate and ban rate since she was released. People don't really see the point in playing her anymore. From almost 8% played to close to 2% now, and it is falling every day as more people give up as well, from a whopping 55% ban rate down to 20% now. And yes, that actually means there is more opportunity now to play Zoe, but instead the play rate has dropped, probably because of this, from 50% win rate all the way down to 40%, which is a ridiculous drop. She was fully gutted this patch and put in the dumpster. They hit a lot of different things, so it's a combination. The wave clear is worse because her Q doesn't apply a passive, so she can't control the lane as much, she can't push, she can't farm as easily. Her Q burst is lower, the base, and also uses half as much of your AP. The base damage is going to mess you up early to mid game. The ratio is going to mess you up mid to late game. You're going to be firing out your sleep a lot less, easier to get rid of it as well, and your W can't impact the map as much. You can't get a free base and TB back to lane. Now you can't pick up teleport. When you look at it like that, what exactly is left to play Zoe afterwards? Like, why would you? That's probably why her win rate is so low now and why nobody is really playing her anymore. Volibear is the biggest buff though, and he had 4 buffs actually. His Q gave him more move speed, W working on minions, E added damage, and utility plus Morello rework, meaning people don't rush every game. This is kind of like a Nunu level jump if you remember that, when he went from trash to broken in one patch because Riot decided to let him give free AP to people. He went from a 46% or lower win rate to a steady 54% now. His play rate has also gone from below 1% of games to 6%, and that's climbing every day. He's very similar to Warwick at the moment. An easy play style to pick up and play, doesn't require an insane amount of mechanics or anything like that, so you can just use him to win almost instantly. The other side to this as well though is he just demolishes the new Rengar really hard, and after the rework he got a lot more popular. Let's look at him now actually. So Rengar, we all thought this was going to break Rengar really, but actually he is probably garbage it seems, or very close. His Q went back to how it used to be, so that was reverted, and what looked like buffs to the rest of his kit really. Like, nothing was a major nerf. If you get ahead, I think you can still demolish, and so it will seem kind of strong in some games, but overall he is definitely not overpowered. His win rate actually dropped after this, almost 5%, and he hovers around 44% so far. I definitely don't think he's this bad overall though. Look at his play rate, okay? So it shot up to almost 25% of games from 6% overnight. A lot of people who are not very good at him or out of practice, they jumped on him hoping he was free low, and it turns out he wasn't. The play rate is falling every day, same with ban rate. It shot up, but it's now falling back down again, so it does kind of like imply that he's not as good as people thought. He does look really bad from this, what I'm showing you, but like the stats are skewed because of the new people picking him up and playing him and sucking some major dong. Another jungler who is worse though is Shyvana. 2 nerfs really, AD growth down per level and Q 20% lower total AD ratio. I wasn't sure how big this was going to be, but actually boned her pretty hard. Almost 53% win rate and now struggling to stay over 50%, which is pretty nuts. Banned a lot less, played a lot less. Seems like people really feel like she's a lot weaker in 8.4 now. I actually didn't think the changes were massive, but it was a total AD ratio. That includes your items, that includes your base AD, so that really was a double nerf then to that, which I didn't really realize. Lower AD per level and 20% knocked off the ratio as well, so you're getting 80% of a less total AD than before. I think that is why she got so much worse when it didn't really seem that bad, because both of them feed into each other. Top lane also got quite a few different changes to the major players, but I didn't really change anything. Well, first of all, we had Darius, right? 2 buffs, and also bone plating the new Resolve rune is actually really good. W's got lower cooldown though, and also E gives a bit more arm pen, and he is definitely up close to 50% and now around like 51 to 52%, which is a healthy win rate. Like, that is actually good. I think he's better than that though actually. Look at his play rate and his ban rate as well. Massive spikes up in both of these, but especially his ban rate is still climbing slightly every day, which would mean that people are still struggling against him. A lot like Rengar actually, like a lot of people started playing him again, but his win rate still went up because he is easy to pick up and play, but he's also actually that strong. GP Gangplank was the other main top laner getting hit. 2 nerfs. Q mana costs up at earlier ranks, and his E keg doesn't give vision and only lasts 25 seconds from 60. It had a pretty big effect, dropping him below 50% for the first time in actually quite a while. His play rate also dropped down, so he is obviously quite a bit weaker now. Remember, this was aimed more because he was an issue in pro play, so good GP players will be okay, I think. The ones just trying to abuse him will be dropping off a little bit more. So far, it also seems like Riven and San have turned into pretty rough matchups for him in this patch in 8.4, both of which are really popular and making this seem a lot worse. So those are the major champion ones, but mid lane items obviously changed as well. We had a massive amount of changes for those, which definitely shook up the mid lane. The main two champions that lost this were Katarina and Orianna so far, which is weird because they both seem to be doing okay with the new items, but apparently not. Katarina is just above 50% now, the lowest she has been in a long time. She's sat at like 52, 53% for most of Season 8 so far. The only change was to Liandry's that affected her mostly. They took away the spell pen and they added the damage amp, right? And I guess when you're trying to snowball, the pen is more important, so that is why. It's weird though because when she does pick up the new Liandry's, she still has a decent win rate with it in 8.4. This might actually be because a lot of people are getting a Void Staff instead of Liandry's now because they think that version is better because it gives you some spell penetration even though it's percentage, and that is just not as good. As we said, Orianna is the other one. Entire build did change here and it's way more aggressive, which I thought would have been a good thing, but maybe not. It's not a massive drop. She is not terrible or anything like that, but worse than before the patch now, and it seems like she preferred Morello Magic Pen rather than Luden's and the new Liandry's. The biggest winners by far though out of this patch are the Archangel's abusers though, 100%. There is a very clear two item set that is pretty overpowered right now, Rod of Ages or Abyssal Mask, and then Archangels afterwards, double scaling basically. It now also gives a monstrous amount of mana, a lot of AP, and a really good mid-game spike. You can make this even better with the Liandry's third as well, but you don't have to. The main champions I found using this were first of all Nivea. Can see her win rate jump up in the new patch to almost a 54% win rate, which is top of the roll now almost. Deathcap boosts this huge amount of AP as well, makes it even better, so she kind of scales a little bit better. And normally you kill people in 2 rotations anyway, so you will have the full 10% damage amp from Liandry's that will be applying. Rise is the other one. His play rate has almost doubled so far in 8.4. His win rate is up around 5%. Still looks awful because he's quite hard to play until you've learned him properly. That's pretty normal though. It always looks rubbish. Rise doesn't use Liandry's much, but he doesn't really need to. He has a lot of damage with this anyway. Spellbinder is actually very good for his combo though. You proc it just before you're about to go in. Not that popular, but still decent, and Deathcap with this whole setup is nuts. Cassiopeia is the last one, the last real winner, I guess, out of these whole changes, are creeping towards the top of the roll now, which never ever happens for Cassio. Same as Anivia, except Abyssal Mask or Rod of Ages into the normal build. It works exactly for the same reasons as well, plays for like mid-game, scales really well, and amps up your damage as you get stuck into the fight with Liandry's. So we do have some other champion changes though this patch, like Fiddlesticks for example got 2 buffs and the new AP items as well. His E was changed to lower the cooldown early and increase damage to monsters. His ultimate has a lower cooldown, especially later into the game. The most common build though, it seems to be with Morello third now, and it's pretty good actually. I guess the spell pen really helps your team fight at that point, which we hadn't really seen before. He is doing better. He is back up to about 50% win rate, or just about, but he's not getting much more popular either. He doesn't seem broken, he doesn't seem overpowered or anything, just more viable if you really want to play him. You actually can. If we head into the AD carry role, there were a few different changes. Tristana, by the way, those nerfs made absolutely no difference at all, but we didn't really expect them to. Kalista has like 2 nerfs and a rebalance of stats as well. Like her range was lowered, her E, Rend, mana refund lowered at early ranks. Her W attack speed was put into her base stats, but AD was taken away and added to her W. Not much of a surprise though that she did drop here, and pretty low as well, down to like 44, 45%, which is a really bad level. To be fair, she never has the highest win rate ever because she is hard to play, but now she's even riskier to play. Like she's a bit weaker, she has a lot of range as well, easier to kill, and even harder if you're not a pro. These nerfs were aimed for pro play, but it definitely has hit how good she is for us plebs in solo queue as well. Now Cockball though actually got a small buff this patch, which really did help. I added some of the W percentage damage back at rank 5. He went from like broken in 8.2 to crap in 8.3, and now he's not great, but not the worst anymore. He is up from 46, 47% roughly to almost 50%, and that is a good start. He's not like terrible anymore. Play rate also increased, but he's still not anywhere near as good as he used to be. You can really tell actually when something is strong if it keeps being played more and more over the patch. If it goes down after the first few days, you know it's not really a massive change. It does help though, it does make him better, but nowhere near as good as Varus, not even close. I know Twitch isn't really a popular AD anymore, but he was getting nerfed this patch as well. One nerf to his E, reducing the base damage a lot at rank 5. Not a massive surprise though, that when you cut a champion's main damage tool by half, he ends up getting a fair bit worse. Not too bad, still above 50%, just not near as 52% he was at before, which for AD carries was really good. Honestly, didn't really feel like he was a problem before anyway, but you also have to remember that with the Baron changes in 8.4, the game isn't lasting as long anymore, so a beast like late game champion like Twitch doesn't have as much time to scale into the game anymore. We did actually have 2 more changes to the top lane, which were smaller ones with Gnar and Ornn. Gnar did actually drop about 2%, and a lot of people have stopped playing him as well. This might be a weird case actually that we don't see all the time, but where good players have stopped playing him as much and moved on to better picks to win with, like easier picks to win with. He is weaker though, that is for sure. Partly has to be though because San is ramming him up the backside in most games. Weirdly enough, Ornn didn't really change at all, and actually that is not weird. I swear, no matter how much right nerf this guy, his win rate does not change at all. So that is a real meta shift in 8.4. Who won, who lost, what changed, and who is getting a lot weaker or better as the patch goes on. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think, but for now, I will leave you with the robots.